Stop telling your friends that are getting divorced that they need to take some time and date themselves after the divorce. No, listen, a lot of times when we're getting divorced because we've essentially been on our own for a while, okay? So we don't need that. We need to figure out what we do like, because we know what we don't like, and that is our ex-husband.
This is what I meant about the long game. At some point, some poor guy saw the tattoos and nose ring and thought, yeah, I can turn her into a good woman now. He's stuck watching her badmouth him to everyone, bragging about how much she doesn't like him. And why wouldn't she? She'd only agree to a split if it meant getting half the house and the car. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're diving into the loneliness crisis modern women are facing as men increasingly lose interest in dating and relationships. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so to answer this question, first and foremost, let me tell you something. Stereotyping yourself into a category such as a cowboy, a businessman, a jokester, a whatever it is okay. But for anyone to get someone such as myself, here's what it is. It's really not that hard. Here's what it is, okay? You have to think of yourself like this. Are you a man of action? Okay, and a man, first let's take that word action. Action is the process of something typically to achieve aim. So if you're a man of action, you're going to attract someone such as myself. A man of action has goals, his own goals. And I don't mean all of a sudden you meet me and all of a sudden I'm your goal, because that's annoying. You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the man. This is man of action. The man of action is the man of the hour, the man of the minute. No matter where you are in life, are you a man of action? But being a man of action, having your own goals, and then attracting someone with goals, such as myself, there's not a better recipe than that. Man of action.
If your goal is to be seen as a cowboy or a jokester, then embrace that persona fully. Are you someone who takes action? Absolutely. My only aim is to steer clear of folks like you, no offense, just a preference for keeping my distance from the crowd that doesn't align with my vibe.
The amount of chronically single girlfriends that I know, either approaching their 30s or already in their 30s, that are like wanting to settle down and have a family, but can't, is an epidemic at this point. And we're talking about women that are financially stable, have educations, are beautiful, have their fathers in their lives, like come from nice families. So I'll have conversations with my friends and they'll say things like, oh, like, you know, I want him to make like at least $200,000 a year, like at minimum. He has to be in shape. Like, I really like a guy with a six-pack. I love a guy who's like 6'2". I need a guy with like a full head of hair. Like, I can't do bald guys. Every single time you throw a new specification into what you desire, the only person that fits within the parameters of what you are looking for exists in your dreams. No, I've had girlfriends tell me like, oh my God, no, he's great, this and that, like, but I can't do a short king. So you're telling me you found a guy that's like not bad looking, has a great job with benefits, like financially stable, comes from a great family, and you can't do it because his legs aren't long enough? Like, you are out of your mind.
This is why 90% of men seem to be invisible in the dating scene these days. But you know what? That's not always a bad thing. It gives men the time and space to focus on self-improvement without distractions. Men, keep working on yourselves, become the best version you can be. Prioritize your progress, goals, and happiness. When women search for a partner, they often come with a long list of demands, rarely considering their own worth. They're not looking for a husband, they're seeking something extra, someone to work for them, to provide, to fulfill a role. But the truth is, they're never satisfied with what they get, because it's not about love, it's about power. They care too much about their friends' opinions and too little about finding contentment within themselves. They keep adding to their list of expectations until they finally find someone, only to decide he's not enough. Satisfaction always seems just out of reach.
This is why I believe I've had a pretty good experience with dating men. This is my personal opinion, is my personal perspective. This is just things that I've noticed that I do, or the ways that I am, that have given me a good experience with men. Number one, I do not like anyone who doesn't like me back. If you don't think I'm hot, I don't think you're hot. If you don't think I'm cool, I don't think you're cool. If you don't like me, I don't like you.
It's nothing personal. Everyone has their own thing. If I'm not your type, that literally doesn't mean anything about me. It means that you have a type and I'm not it. It's fine. Number 2, if you think I'm hot and you want to take me out on a date, you want to get to know me, you're taking me to dinner. I'm not going to a museum. I'm not going bowling. I'm not going walking in a park. I'm not going on a hike. We're going to dinner. You're going to put your best foot forward as a man. And if you're not willing to do that, then we will not hang out. That's fine. Literally, no problem. No coffee, no lunch. You're taking me to dinner. I want to see your etiquette. I want to see, it shows so much about how you were raised, how you take a woman to dinner. It's going to tell me everything I need to know about you as a man. Can you hold a conversation? Do you offer to pick me up? Do you offer to send an Uber? What kind of place do you take me? Like, what are your manners when we get there? How do you treat the waiter? Like, that's going to show me so much about you. What you order, how many drinks you have, like, it tells you so much about a man. Number 3, I do not date a guy who clubs. I do not date a guy who's always out partying. I do not date a guy who has a super curated Instagram feed. Like, none of that. If you're always trying to keep up with the Joneses and you're always posting that you're at Nobu or you're at this club or you're at this thing and you're at this event, like, you're always looking for the new next thing. You don't have stability and you're not busy enough, and I'm not interested in that. I go for little to no social media, dad energy vibes. I like dad energy. If you're a little dorky, you're a little nerdy, you're a little awkward, even better. Dad energy vibes, no social media. Number 4, how you talk about your mother and how you talk about your ex-girlfriends and how you talk about your sister or sisters if you have them. If you ever say that your mother, any of your sisters, or any of your ex-girlfriends are if you utter that, or they're crazy or whatever, if you don't have, like, even, they don't have to be perfect people, but you have, like, if he doesn't have, like, class and how he describes them, no, red flag. Number 5, and you guys are going to fight me on this one, if he has female friends. If he has female friends, that is a positive. I want to date a guy who has female friends. I want to date a guy who is used to seeing women in a context that is not romantic or sexual, that he likes being around, and that he respects his people. That is not a red flag to me. That is a green flag. And number 6, if he has a career that he is happy in and that he's fulfilled in and that he feels like checks all the boxes he needs to check. If he doesn't have that as a man, he's not going to be happy, and he's going to take that out on you. I don't care if he's an electrician or if he's a movie producer. Like, if you have to have something that keeps you busy, keeps you motivated, keeps you productive, and that you feel like motivates you, inspires you, makes you feel accomplished. Even if you do have a good career and you have way too much time on your hands, like, I do not want to date a guy who has a ton of time on his hands. I only want to date someone who has a life and things that he is passionate about outside of his relationship with me. And that's a good rule of thumb for both genders. So yeah, if you'd like more, let me know, because I'm sure I can bring up more, but those are the first 6 that come to mind.
This highlights the importance of money, life stages, and experience. Men and women go through similar lessons, but the setting matters. You might pick up on dining etiquette at a dinner, not at a museum. When a woman treats dating like a competitive sport, it raises red flags for most men. She expects the man to pay for dinner, but doesn't want to contribute equally. She's searching for a man who checks every box: tall, attractive, wealthy, polite, daring, and funny. But what is she offering in return? Many women expect men to handle everything without giving much back, leading many guys to walk away from dating altogether. Experience plays a crucial role in understanding these dynamics.
Whatever, I'm going for it. I'm going to tell the story again because I have multiple times and it is never picked up and it deserves to. The most unhinged date I have ever been on was with a guy from Bumble. This happened back in like March 2022. So I matched with this guy based on his profile. He is a dreamboat. I'm 25 at the time. He was 27. He was in a master's program in the city. He was from Hungary or Austria. I think he was Austrian. So I matched with him and we chatted a little bit before exchanging numbers, and then we decided we wanted to go on a date. Now, it was his idea to call before the date, which I loved. So we got on the phone the night before, and this is when I started seeing a few red flags, but at the time I was really dating around. I was unhappy in and out of this toxic relationship, and I was also heavily drinking. If you don't know, I'm in recovery, So I get on the phone with this guy. It seems, relatively normal. Obviously, he has this little accent. And he asks me what I like to wear, which I found to be a weird question. And I answered back like, I don't know, clothes. And he clarifies, he was asking what brands I like to wear. I was like, if you want to put me up in a Dior dress, like, I will absolutely wear that on our date. But I do not have that in my closet. Like, we're looking at Forever 21, buddy. He Did not like that answer, but he let me know he likes when women wear dresses, when they wear heels, and I was like, oh yeah, I got those things. Why am I entertaining at this point? Sheer boredom. So we set up a lunch date. He sends me this website to a restaurant. I agree it looks nice. I know what BART station I'm getting off at, and we set up a time for me to meet him in the city tomorrow. So just to be clear, this is the dress that I was wearing, and I think I got it in like 2015 from Forever 21. Also, you can't see, but I was wearing thigh-high stiletto boots. So the next day rolls around and I go to my local BART station and I'm getting ready to get on the train when he calls me. I was supposed to get off at Montgomery Station. He goes, come to Castro instead. Completely different part of the city, and the train does not go there. I tell him this because I'm literally boarding my train. I'm like, bro, what exit do I get off at? And he's like, well, just take Muni to Castro after you get off BART. I let him know, sir, you know what? I'm on a first date right now, and I am not going to take two different forms of public transportation last minute to a different location just because you asked me to. I could tell he's a little annoyed on the phone. He's definitely not by himself, but he's like, all right, fine. Come to Civic Center then. The Civic Center? If you're not familiar with the city, the Civic Center is probably the last place that you, as a 25-year-old girl in stiletto boots and a mini dress, wants to get off by herself. But at this point, I'm literally on the train and the train is moving. So I'm like, okay, I get off at this time. Meet me at the stairs at this time. He says, okay. I get there. I text him. He's not there. I call him. He's not there. He drops me a pin. It's 0.7 miles away, and he just says, start walking. So I assume he's going to meet me halfway. No. The pin is an apartment complex. It's his friend's, and he wants me to come inside and see the rooftop garden. I'm like, I'm sorry, no, we were going to lunch. I'm not going inside a residence with you. I don't even know you. Again, he seems annoyed, but he comes down to the street. He greets me. He pulls up my dress like so to look at the pattern. I was wearing shorts underneath, gotcha. And he proceeds to tow me down the street to just the first cafe that he finds. It's one of those restaurants where you pay first at the counter and they give you a number to take to your table. So he orders and then he pays and he takes his number, and I was gonna order after him because if I'm not getting my food paid for, that's fine, but like he just started walking to sit down to his table and expected me to follow. So I go to sit down, and I guess the food that he ordered was for both of us. Eventually, the server brings out a sandwich, 2 plates, a glass of oat milk, and a ramekin of mayo. This is important. I take a little piece of a sandwich just, to be polite, and we start talking. First question out of his mouth, what is your parents' combined annual income? Okay. He then asks what my career is. I was between jobs. I told him the last thing that I did was teaching kindergarten and I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't pay that well. He goes, well, yeah, it shouldn't. And I go, wait, pardon, did you say should or shouldn't? Like I didn't hear you. He goes, no, you shouldn't get paid for that job. It's an easy job. Anybody can do it. Okay. Then he's hounding me that I'm like not pursuing my career hard enough. But then he asks me when I'm going to have kids because American men don't know how to date. And you should know if you want to make a baby with a woman in 8 months to a year. Those were his words. And I'm sitting there like, did the time start already? Then he tells me I better hurry up and have my kids in the next 3 years. Otherwise, I'll be too old and they'll come out disabled. This is when I told him that my mother had me at 34. By the way, I already said this. I was 25 on this date. So at this point, he's done eating. There was whipped cream on top of the oat milk, and it was in his beard and a little bit in his nose hair at this point. He picks his plate up and licks the crumbs off of it. Then he reaches across the table and licks my plate too. He then picks up the ramekin of mayo and literally like this. Now, at this point, I had forewarned him. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I told him I wanted to catch the halftime show, and he was like, ho, silly Americans. So I can see on the TV at the cafe next door that the Super Bowl is starting. I'm like, shucks, I gotta get going. It's really no surprise at this point that he is completely unwilling to walk me back to the closest BART station, but there happens to be a Muni station right there. So he walks me to the station, and the Muni's pulling up, and he pulls me in for what I'm assuming is gonna be a hug. It was a 7-second French kiss. Could taste the mayonnaise. I hate mayonnaise. And right before he pulled away, right before the train pulled up, he gave me a little honk and told me to call him next time I was in the city. So yeah, that's who you find on Bumble.
Chad is on the attack again. It works like a clock. Some women will see the warning signs but still choose to ignore them. Now, here's the deal. The signs are there. After all, these guys aren't very quiet. Even though the warning lights are pretty much always on, they always get away with it. Why? Because, let's face it, some women are interested in bad boys. They think they can change him, or that he's not getting what they mean most of the time, though they're just setting themselves up for heartbreak. The obvious problems are ignored, and people hope for the best. They are then shocked when things go badly. It's a circle that keeps going around and around. People don't pay attention to the good guys because they're not interesting enough, but the Chads keep causing trouble. Then people start to say that there aren't any good men left.
You are a man, and I message you. I expect you to open my message in 1/8 of a second, and I expect you to respond in under 2 minutes. And if I don't message you first, I expect you to message me anyway. Anyway.
I'm the only one who, knowing exactly what she wants, will deliberately count to 100 Mississippi before even thinking about responding. Then I'll grab a coffee, watch a movie, and only later think, oh, I should have replied to that message. It's probably just me. Right? Everyone else would have handled it differently. But hey, I'm just enjoying the ride. They say to keep your hopes high, but then reality hits and you're left feeling let down.